Ghari has completely monopolized the detergent market in India. It has snatched Nirma's #1 spot and leads the market with a 17% share. But how did Murli Dhar Gyanchandani, the founder of Ghari, become the richest man in UP? And how did he defeat Nirma by copying the exact same strategy that Nirma once used? To find out, I spent a lot of time reading about the detergent market in India. And I found that the story started much before Ghari even came to the market. Surf was a detergent that was introduced in India by Hindustan Unilever Limited way back in 1959. This was a time when the market in India was already very nascent and disorganized. And there weren't a lot of detergent options to begin with. So a giant like Unilever quickly became the undisputed market leader within a few years. But Surf was quite expensive. So it was almost unaffordable for a large segment of the market. So in 1969, a chemist named Karsan Bhai Patel realized that the market needed an affordable detergent. And he launched a brand named Nirma. Nirma ended up as an absolute disruptor of the market. And that was because of its pricing strategy. Where Surf was being sold for Rs 13.5 per kg, Nirma entered with a price of just 3.5 rupees per kg. This pricing, coupled with a smart distribution strategy, ended up making Nirma the market leader within the next few years. And by the 1980s, Nirma had toppled all other brands in the market, including Unilever's Surf, to become the largest brand in India. But by the 1980s, the Indian economy had started growing rapidly, and consumer incomes were increasing. And this resulted in a shift in preference towards premium and diversified products. However, by this time, Nirma had established itself as a value for money brand, due to which people started perceiving it as a cheap and low quality product. And no one wants to buy a cheap product. And by this point, Nirma had also started diversifying its product portfolio, which saw its entry into soaps, salt, cement, and even education. So the core product of detergent was naturally neglected as well. And Nirma failed to diversify its product line and upgrade its marketing strategy to meet the aspirations of this new India. But the final nail in the coffin was when Unilever started catching up and brought out its own brand of an affordable detergent, Wheel. By 2000, Wheel had toppled Nirma as the market leader, as Nirma's market share fell from 60% in 1985 to just 15% in 2007. But much before 2007, a man named Murli Dhar Gyanchandani had already been inspired by the story of Nirma. And in 1987, he had launched his own brand of an affordable detergent named Ghari. This brand would go on to kill Nirma and dominate the Indian market. When Ghari started, Nirma was at the top of the table and it had become a mass market brand. When I say mass market brand, I mean that they were now focusing on selling their product to everyone instead of a very specific segment of people. And Ghari realized that there was a gigantic section in the rural and semi-urban areas that were being underserved. As I already mentioned earlier, by this time, Indians had started aspiring for things that were better in quality, even if it meant paying slightly more. And Ghari started by capitalizing on this change in consumer psychology. It launched its detergent and cleverly positioned it as a premium product within the affordable segment. So if competitors like Nirma priced their detergent at Rs 30 per kg, Ghari priced it just above others at 35 rupees per kg. And Ghari also understood the market psyche very well. Indians used to associate more foam with a more effective cleaning experience. So if a detergent generated more foam, it convinced people that it was providing a superior cleaning experience. Ghari capitalized on this reasoning and developed a formula that created more foam. And then they sold this as a USP of their product. So it effectively became a brand that promised superior quality within the affordable segment. But what really helped Ghari grow was its hyper-localized targeting strategy. Instead of trying to be a big brand and launching nationwide as quickly as possible, Ghari took its time and started by targeting just the rural and semi-urban areas of Kanpur, a small city in Uttar Pradesh. Once it established a strong foothold there, it gradually started expanding outwards and captured all of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is a vast market and it contributes 17% of the total FMCG revenues of India. And for a very long time, Ghari worked quietly in just this one state. This consolidated its business and operations and established a strong foundation for the company. And later on, it started replicating its business model in other states as well. Now, at this point, you might be wondering how Gyanchandani made people buy Ghari instead of Nirma, right? Well, this was where their genius distribution strategy came into play. Ghari had already priced itself as a premium brand within the affordable segment, so it was already making more profit per kilogram than its competitors. But on top of that, it also established a very unique distribution model. If you have made it this far, please subscribe to my channel. I promise I will add value for you. Moving on. See, usually the way manufacturing works is that a company sets up a large manufacturing unit in a faraway part of a state. This unit acts as a manufacturing hub for that company for the neighboring cities and states. So if Cadbury sets up a chocolate plant in northern India in, let's say, Haryana, chocolates will be sent to UP, Bihar, Punjab and others from this plant in Haryana. And while transporting these chocolates to local retailers within Haryana might not be too expensive, the cost of transportation increases as you move farther away from the manufacturing plant. So sending a batch of chocolates to a distributor or retailer in Punjab will be much more expensive than sending it to, let's say, Delhi. What Ghari did differently was that instead of establishing a central manufacturing plant serving thousands of kilometers of area, it built several mini manufacturing units across cities. To give you an idea, you could find a Ghari factory within a 250 kilometer radius of every major city in Uttar Pradesh. And in these factories, Ghari only used local workers for all positions, including managers. Not only did this bring down costs, but it also generated a loyalty for the brand amongst the employees. As a result, it became much cheaper for them to transport their products to the retailers. And they were able to significantly bring down their distribution costs, an advantage that no other brand had. They also focused on cutting out the clearing or forwarding agents and directly sent their product from factories to dealers, further saving on storage costs and commissions. And finally, they decided to transfer a chunk of this profit to the retailers. Where detergents like Nirma were offering a margin of about 5% to the retailers, Ghari started offering a margin of 7% to the retailers. So these retailers and shopkeepers were suddenly incentivized to push Ghari detergent to the customers over other brands. And to push the consumers, Ghari optimized its marketing campaigns for the target audience. For the longest time, they spent just 2% of their overall revenue on marketing, and the money that was spent was hyper-focused on semi-urban and rural communities. Instead of hiring iconic actors like other brands, they sponsored the extremely popular Mahabharata television series. They also used trains as a marketing medium, pasting their banners on trains that ran on prominent routes in northern India, which was their target market. The focus was also on at-home and on-field events that generated awareness about the brand. And all this while, they used an iconic tagline that promised people that Ghari would walk the talk. Eventually, Ghari dethroned Wheel to become the most popular detergent in India in 2012. Starting from just Uttar Pradesh, it is now stocked in 19 states across India. And Ghari is now estimated to own 20% of the entire market, with 1 out of every 4 detergents sold in India being Ghari. If you made it this far, hit the like button and follow me on LinkedIn. The link is in the description below. Until I see you in the next video, goodbye.